It's no secret that Meghan Markle has struggled to capture public affection since stepping back from royal duties. But Season 2 of her docuseries with Love, Meghan may have just solidified her place as one of the most out-of-touch public figures in recent memory. During a recent appearance on the Graham Norton Show, Dame Helen Mirren and host Graham Norton didn't hold back their critiques, dismantling Meghan's latest project with wit, insight, and the kind of brutal honesty the Duchess of Sussex rarely encounters in her media bubble. Mirren, an Oscar-winning actress known for portraying Queen Elizabeth II, delivered a calm but cutting takedown of With Love, Meghan when asked by Norton for her thoughts. "I think it's quite bold to narrate your life as though it's a global tragedy when you live in a California mansion and are married to a literal prince," Mirren remarked to rapturous laughter from the audience. "There's a disconnect there, don't you think?" she added pointedly. Graham Norton, never one to shy away from satire, chimed in, "It's like watching someone do a TED Talk on suffering while sipping champagne in Montecito." These comments weren't just amusing. They struck a chord with a broader audience growing weary of Markle's relentless self-victimization. With Love, Meghan's Season 2 was marketed as an intimate and healing follow-up to the first season's reflections on love, motherhood, and fame. But instead of offering insight or empathy, it leaned heavily into a narrative where Meghan is constantly misunderstood, attacked, and silenced, despite having a platform larger than most world leaders. What many critics, including Mirren and Norton, found especially galling was the show's use of emotionally charged topics to paint Meghan as a martyr. She talks about losing her voice, being shut down, and rising above the hate, one cultural critic wrote, but fails to acknowledge the immense privilege she wields. It's emotional manipulation wrapped in high production value. The show features segments where Meghan tearfully reflects on painful betrayals and deep trauma, while the visuals cut to B-roll of her idyllic life in Santa Barbara, private jets, and lavish charity galas. Even more frustrating to viewers was the complete lack of self-awareness. In one scene, Markle compares her struggles with those of humanitarian icons like Malala Yousafzai and Maya Angelou, a move that Mirren described as tone-deaf at best, delusional at worst. These comparisons left many wondering whether Meghan has begun to see herself not just as a public figure, but as a global symbol of resilience, a stretch by any measure. Adding fuel to the fire was Graham Norton's critique of the production itself. He mocked the series' pacing, dramatic music, and excessive use of slow-motion shots. "You'd think you were watching a war documentary," he joked. "But the battlefield is Twitter and the casualty is her ego." Norton's satire, always sharp but grounded in truth, encapsulated what many in the British media have been too cautious to say. Meghan's media projects are no longer about telling her truth. They're about controlling the narrative and cashing in on victimhood. This isn't the first time Meghan Markle has faced backlash for tone-deaf media. Her now infamous Oprah interview in 2021 was lauded by some but criticized by others for its inconsistencies and unverifiable claims. Then came the Spotify debacle. Her podcast Archetypes was canceled after just one season, with insiders revealing that Markle had difficulty creating consistent content and working collaboratively. Spotify executive Bill Simmons even called the Sussexes grifters on record. So when With Love, Meghan returned for Season 2, critics were ready, and the show, unfortunately, gave them plenty of material. Even some former supporters have turned skeptical. It feels less like a documentary and more like a carefully curated PR campaign. One former fan wrote online, "She's calm modifying her pain and expecting applause." What's especially glaring in Season 2 is the absence of any real accountability or introspection. There is no mention of the backlash from former staff members at Kensington Palace who accused Meghan of bullying. No acknowledgement of the inconsistency between her claims of wanting privacy and her continued efforts to dominate headlines. Instead, the series paints a one-sided picture of persecution, one that conveniently leaves out any detail that might disrupt the myth. Critics have also pointed out the way Meghan subtly positions herself against the royal family without ever directly naming names. "It's all passive-aggressive jabs and veiled insinuations," says British media analyst Fiona Maguire. "She wants the benefits of a royal connection but none of the scrutiny or responsibility that comes with it." And yet, despite the glossy production and emotional monologues, With Love, Meghan Season 2 is failing to resonate. Viewer numbers are down compared to the first season, and reviews are mixed at best. The Guardian described it as a masterclass in self-absorption, while Variety called it emotionally manipulative and narratively hollow. Perhaps the most damning indictment came not from media outlets, but from Helen Mirren's parting words on the show. At some point, one must ask, is this about healing, or is it just performance? Because there is a difference. The audience nodded. They knew the answer. In the end, with love, Meghan is not a story of resilience. It's a carefully engineered campaign to maintain relevance, wrapped in emotional spectacle and victimhood branding. When even figures like Helen Mirren and Graham Norton, both respected, witty, and culturally attuned, begin to publicly question Meghan's authenticity, it's a sign that the tide may have turned. Markle once said she wanted to use her voice for good. But as Season 2 proves, that voice is starting to sound like an echo chamber of grievance, not growth. The fallout from With Love, Meghan Season 2 isn't just a media misstep. It's a cultural reckoning. As public figures like Helen Mirren and Graham Norton call out Meghan's self-serving narrative, the Duchess is increasingly viewed as emblematic of celebrity activism gone awry. Rather than fostering connection or compassion, her work now feels like a relentless pursuit of sympathy and control. With declining viewership and mounting criticism, the question becomes, how much longer can Meghan Markle rely on the same narrative of victimhood before even her most loyal supporters begin to tune out, or worse, turn away completely?